Picture this. It's 1987. You're in a piazza in Milan. The fashion is loud, the hair is big, and the economy is roaring. Italy has just overtaken the UK to become the world's fifth largest economy. They called it Il Sorpasso. But here's what no one saw coming. Italy was once richer per person than Britain. Today, it hasn't grown in 25 years. Now, snap back to reality. It's 2025. That party didn't just end. It feels like the police came, raided the house, and burned it to the ground. While the US economy has roughly doubled since 2000, Italy's GDP per capita is stuck in a time loop, hovering around the same level it saw when The Matrix was in theaters. But the twisted part is the seeds of this disaster weren't planted by the euro or bad luck. They were planted during those golden years. Today, we're doing an autopsy on the sick man of Europe. We're going to look at the specific reasons why this beautiful country is economically stagnant. You can't understand why Italy is failing today without understanding how it succeeded in the past. Back in the 70s and 80s, Italy had a superpower. It wasn't efficiency, it wasn't high-tech innovation. It was a printing press. Let's say you owned a factory in Turin making washing machines, competing against Hans in Germany. Hans invests millions in robots to make his machines better and cheaper. You don't want to buy robots, they're expensive and require training. So you call up your friends in Rome. The Bank of Italy would devalue the lira. Overnight, your washing machines suddenly become 20% cheaper for Americans or French people to buy. Not because you made them better, but because your currency is now worth less. For decades, this worked. It kept Italian exports flying off the shelves and allowed small, inefficient family businesses to dominate global markets without ever modernizing. But there was a dark side. When you devalue your currency to boost exports, you import inflation. Things you buy from abroad, oil, gas, raw materials, get more expensive. To fix that, Italy had something called the Scala Mobile, an escalator. If inflation went up, wages automatically went up. This created a death spiral. Devaluation caused inflation. Inflation triggered wage increases. Higher wages made businesses less profitable, so the government devalued the currency again. By the early 90s, the lira was collapsing. Then, in 1999, Italy joined the euro. Imagine taking someone who's been dependent on painkillers for 40 years and suddenly cutting off their supply. Cold turkey. No rehab. That's what happened when Italy adopted the euro. They lost their superpower, the ability to devalue. Suddenly, those washing machine factories in Turin had to compete with Hans in Germany based on actual efficiency and quality. And they couldn't because they'd spent decades relying on the easy fix. When the euro locked the exchange rate, the curtain fell, and the global market wasn't impressed. So the currency trick was gone. But surely Italian businesses adapted, right? No. This brings us to reason number 2, the productivity flatline. Since Italy joined the euro, its total factor productivity, how efficiently the economy uses labor and capital, has been essentially zero. In some sectors, it's actually declined. Why? Welcome to the Peter Pan problem of Italian business. Italy is famous for its small and medium enterprises. The charming family-owned leather shop in Florence, the third-generation ceramic maker in Sicily. It's romantic, but in the brutal world of modern economics, it's a structural weakness. Over 90% of Italian businesses have fewer than 10 employees. They're microfirms. They don't scale innovation. If you're a 5-person family operation, you're not investing millions into AI-driven logistics. But why stay small? It's not just culture, it's rational. The Italian state actively discourages growth. The moment you hire your 15th employee, you trigger a cascade of labor protection laws that make it nearly impossible to fire anyone. So you just don't hire the 15th person. And because they stay small, they stay inefficient. Then there's management by inheritance. The business is passed from father to child, regardless of skill. World Bank research shows that firms run by the founder's child perform significantly worse than those run by professionals. And this is the part most people miss. You cannot have economic growth without people. It's basic math. You need workers to make things and consumers to buy things. Italy is running out of both. Let's say you're brave. You ignore all this and decide to start a business in Italy. Welcome to the bureaucratic inferno. The World Bank ranks Italy behind countries like Rwanda and Kazakhstan for business ease. To resolve a commercial dispute in court takes, on average, over 1,000 days, nearly 3 years. This isn't just an annoyance, it's a tax on time. The state has an estimated 150,000 laws, compared to about 5,000 in Germany. This uncertainty is poison for investment. Why would Tesla or Google build a factory in Italy if it takes 5 years to get a permit? They won't. They go to Poland or Ireland. So we have a stagnant economy, a dying population, and a dysfunctional state. If you're a smart, ambitious 25-year-old Italian with a master's degree in engineering, what do? You leave. You move to Germany, the UK, or the United States. This is the fuga dei cervelli, the brain drain. Every year, tens of thousands of Italy's best and brightest pack their bags. taking their talent, their future tax payments, and their future children with them. It's a vicious cycle that hollows out the country's potential. They're not just losing workers, they're losing the future itself. When a country's smartest and most ambitious young people all have the same dream, and that dream is to leave, you have a problem. This is the brain drain, or as Italians call it, la fuga dei cervelli, the flight of the brains. Italy has a strong education system, producing world-class engineers and economists. The state spends hundreds of thousands of euros on each of them. But just as they're ready to become productive, tax-paying citizens, Italy hands them over to Germany, the UK, and the US for free. It's the worst trade deal in history. So why are they leaving? Let's look at the numbers. An entry-level engineer in Milan might make about $1,500 to $900 a month. That same engineer, just a 2-hour flight away in Munich over the last decade, nearly 1 million Italians have emigrated. And these are the young and educated. When the smartest people leave, innovation leaves with them. You lose the entrepreneurs, the inventors, and the reformers. Those who stay are often trapped in a cycle of short-term contracts with no job security, unable to get a mortgage or plan a future. This massive exodus also releases pressure on the government. If these frustrated young people stayed, they might demand change. Instead, they just buy a one-way ticket to Berlin, and the status quo remains. It's a tragedy of wasted potential, with Italy bleeding out its future, one boarding pass at a time. But this brain drain is only half the story. The other half is geographic. Look at a satellite map of Italy at night. The north is ablaze with light, industrialized, connected, and wealthy. In fact, if northern Italy were its own country, it would be one of the richest in Europe. But as you go south, past Rome, the lights get dimmer. This is the questione meridionale, the southern question. It's an old wound that's dragging the entire country down. The GDP per capita in the south is roughly half that of the north. This isn't a small regional difference. It's like having Germany and Tunisia inside the same borders. Why? Part of it is infrastructure. Projects to build modern highways and railways in the south either never started or became legendary failures. It's hard to compete in a global market when your trucks are stuck on roads from the 1970s. Then there's the invisible tax of organized crime. In regions like Sicily and Campania, small businesses are forced to pay protection money just to operate. This destroys profitability and scares away investment. Because the private sector is so weak, the state has become the main employer, creating a system where jobs are handed out for political loyalty, not qualifications. The North resents this, feeling their taxes are subsidizing an inefficient South, which fuels political instability. Until Italy can integrate its South, the national economy is hopping on one leg. Now for the number that hangs over everything, $2.9 trillion. That's Italy's national debt, about 140% of its GDP. This makes Italy incredibly vulnerable. They are at the mercy of investors. If interest rates spike, the country could face default. In 2011, Italy was on the brink, and the European Central Bank had to step in. But Italy is too big to fail and too big to save. If Italy defaults, there isn't enough money in Europe to bail them out. It would be a financial catastrophe that would make 2008 look like a minor disruption, potentially destroying the euro and fracturing the EU. So Italy is trapped, drifting along, hoping the next crisis doesn't push them over the edge. So is Italy destined to become a beautiful, sinking theme park? The situation looks bleak, but Italy has surprised the world before. This is a country with immense private wealth, a global leader in culture and luxury. The Made in Italy brand is still a priceless asset. But to survive, Italy needs deep structural reform. It needs to empower the young, streamline its bureaucracy, and make the South a land of opportunity. It's a tall order, and the alternative is a slow slide into irrelevance. Italy is a warning for every developed economy. When you can't grow your way out of a crisis, you face a choice. Transform or become a monument to what used to work. The clock is ticking and the alarm has been ringing for 20 years. What do you think? Can Italy turn it around? If you're Italian or you understand these dynamics, I want to hear from you in the comments. And if this breakdown helped you understand the challenges facing modern economies, hit that like button. Thanks for watching.